Yo, what's up guys? So we're here to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare and what needs to be fixed, going over what a lot of people have been saying over on Reddit, as well as taking into consideration not only what a lot of the pro Call of Duty community wants, but also looking at what the casuals want, because I've sat here and a lot of you guys know I like to leave on the mic. I like to hear what other people have to say in the game, and a lot of times, even in just pub lobbies, I'm hearing everyone say the same thing. Yo, why you camping? Yo, he pre-aiming. It's the same thing that I've been mentioning previously, but I did want to make an updated video because not only have I basically played the beta all weekend, and also they have changed the game a little bit, specifically adding the minimap, which I think is a great change to the game. It's making people feel a little bit more comfortable in the game to kind of move out. But there is one huge gameplay design decision that I think is flawed, and let me go and explain that. So first off, a suppressor in Call of Duty makes it so you don't appear on the minimap when you shoot, but the downside is that you will have less damage on range. Now, with the addition of them adding in the minimap, they've actually made it so if you fire, even if you happen to not have suppressor, you won't appear on the minimap. So at that point, why even equip a suppressor? You know, the main reason why you don't want to run a suppressor is to not show up on the minimap, but you don't even need to run a suppressor and you still won't show up on the minimap in the first place. So that might be something that does get changed, but again, overall, the new addition to adding the minimap overall is just much better. I don't think anyone was like, yo, I want Call of Duty to change something and I want them to change the minimap. I don't think that that was ever the case, but at least they are kind of reacting a little bit faster, and I hope that they react faster to the whole changes in the sprint in and out times, as well as the amount of camping that just goes on. Basically, the rushers need a buff in this game. So camping is just way too frequent. I've heard this complaint on every single stream. Even competitive players will argue about this all day. If someone is sitting on a head glitch, it is very difficult to challenge them just because of the way that the game is oriented. And you could argue, well, people are just always going to camp in a game. And that is definitely true, but you have to give the person that is rushing some type of way to deal with it a little bit faster, because the way that this game is operated basically favors camping way more than the player rushing. And it's not only sitting on head glitches, but it's the whole addition to adding a lot of indoor buildings with a bunch of windows that people are just going to go ahead and rotate in and out of, just so they can go ahead and get those score streaks. And then on top of that, or kill streaks, I should say in this game, which is another concern, is a lot of people aren't playing the objective because they don't care about it, because they're not going to get a kill streak. And I totally understand that point. The reason why they added score streaks in the first place was to reward players that were actually playing the objective. So if you had a negative KD, you could still maybe get those streaks because you're playing the objective. You deserve those, right? And I like that. But again, the camping is just too frequent in the game because people are just going to sit there and just try to go for kills. And again, going back to the same idea of the game is played too campy. If you give the players the option to mount on certain objects as well as peek on different corners, they're going to play a lot slower, and it's never a good thing to watch someone sit on a head glitch for the entirety of a game to try to get one of those kill streaks. It's not entertaining and it's not fun just to not only spectate, but to play. I feel like the SMGs and anyone that's running a rushing class just needs overall a buff in the game, especially since you look at majority of the attachments in this game, everything nerfs some sort of pace as far as being able to aim down sights faster, or basically the movement speed is reduced. That kind of a drawback is just going to make people play even more campy. So a lot of the attachments maybe need to be looked at as far as what would be the downside. Maybe one of the downsides is that you can't mount on a wall. You can't sit on head glitches and just basically put your gun and sit on a head glitch. Again, that's the biggest concern that I have for this game, is that they're just going to favor, again, most of the campier playstyles. Another thing is kill streaks need to cycle, as in once you finish your kill streaks, you shouldn't have to just go die so you can go ahead and build up your score streaks again. That is a huge thing that needs to be changed. That was one reason why a lot of people really liked a lot of the Treyarch games, is because more so you could do that in most of the Treyarch games, is you're able to cycle those kill streaks. Another huge concern is, and this goes back to the same point that I had before, is that no dead silence equals more people camping, because they're just going to sit there and listen to those footsteps. I know dead silence is technically in the game. We didn't have access to it in the beta or the alpha. However, it just not being a perk is really annoying, and I think that it really needs to be looked at. Maybe if it's one of those tactical things that we can use as an equipment, you activate it and it's just there permanently. I feel like there's going to be a problem in the competitive community with people complaining that Just like in Advanced Warfare, it was a small duration that you needed, and I really dislike that. You know, you see me teabagging the person camping in the back there, and it's just because I hate when people camp. It's really annoying to deal with. And then on top of that, there's a lot of areas where it's very hard to see the enemies in the game. Specifically, when they're sitting indoors, sometimes when you're outside looking in on them, you can barely see them. I feel like maybe the colors need to be adjusted, or basically adjusted so people that are camping in a window, it's a little bit more visually clear that they are doing that. Kind of like how, you know, how when a sniper's in a window, you can see that giant flashing light. Not necessarily needing that flashing light, but just some sort of indication that they are there. It can really help the player that is sitting out in the open trying to rush around and then just get killed by someone sitting in a window. It's just frustrating. Another thing that I feel like is very frustrating, a lot of players have been complaining about this as well, is that the headshots in this game do too much damage, especially when it's RNG hip fire. I'm sure a lot of times you guys have flashed someone or stunned someone and they just spray and they hit you once in the head and then you just go down instantly. It feels like you melt. Even if you have the first shot, it's really frustrating to die to someone that just hip fires and get a headshot. I understand that headshots can be rewarding if you try to go for them, but specifically with the hip fire mechanic, I think maybe that can be looked at, but you guys can kind of tell me how you feel about that. I just know that people complain about, dude, he got a lucky headshot on me, and it happens quite often, it feels like, in this Call of Duty game versus previous ones. But as far as the maps go, I just feel like there's not a map that I feel is like, oh my gosh, this is really memorable from the first few times playing it. Maybe the game will grow on a lot of other players as well as other different experiences on other maps that we have not played yet. But I didn't feel like we got a good map like Raid or Standoff. Again, I personally have always liked a lot of the Treyarch maps over Infinity Ward maps, but I feel like, again, there was just not a map that was very memorable from just playing. And also, again, going back to what I mentioned, I'm checking out my notes here, is sprint in and out needs to be fixed. They need to make it much faster, again, for the people that are rushing in the game. The game itself does feel clunky, and while watching the gameplay, it definitely reminds me more of Rainbow Six, but if you play it, it definitely feels kind of like a clunkier version of Call of Duty versus more of that fast-paced arcade. You know, you just got off work, you just got off school, and you just want to go in and kill some stuff. It feels like it's too slow paced for that, yet it's not fast enough to where I feel like Call of Duty should have actually been. This is a small section, but I did want to mention that the night vision mode, I know that they announced it. I felt like a lot of people just didn't really care for it. I was talking to my friends, and I'm talking about people that I used to play competitive Call of Duty with in the competitive scene, which we reached the max rank with Call of Duty Black Ops 2, even Advanced Warfare, but like, I just don't think the night vision mode is going to be anywhere near what players would enjoy to see competitive. Maybe in like one certain area of a map, they can have it so you can have night vision, but I think that it's kind of almost a waste of time for them to implement certain game types in, especially because perhaps in a couple months, like a lot of game modes just don't simply see any play on. Once the game has launched, there's a couple weeks where you can play like Safeguard, like in Black Ops 3, unless it was one of those daily like quests. Really hard to get some of those matches in for certain game modes. And again, this is just a concern for the future and longevity of certain modes in the game. Because pretty much, and if you're playing on PC or even on like the Wii U, because I did play Black Ops on the Wii U, Black Ops 2 that is, eventually you could only really play TDM. And for them to invest the time into these other modes, I think that they should focus more in on playing the base game mode and just really polish up certain things and really addressing the issues that a lot of people had. But anyways, those are my 2 cents, and this is my final review of the beta as of right now. Again, with these newer changes, I did want to make a newer video and update you guys on that. But I'm curious to what you guys think. That's really all I had to say. So I hope they listen to the community. And like I said, with the whole mini-map, a lot of people complained about it, and they did change relatively quick. And I hope that they addressed the whole camping issue in the game. Also, I did want to mention that supply drops are already confirmed. This is basically someone leveled up and basically it showed off. I don't really need to talk much more about that. I feel like it's going to be in the game. They're going to have guns locked behind supply drops. And I'm going to complain about that, yes, a little bit here, but I'm not going to make a full dedicated, like, you know, long video. Because that's something I don't think will be changed, and I don't think they're going to listen to the community for that, and that is simply due to, of course, monetary gain on their end. And I understand from a business standpoint, it makes them more money, and I hate it, but that's just part of Call of Duty. And I don't think that there's really much room for discussion on that, but there is definitely a room for discussion on, of course, sprint in and out time. But let me know, guys, what feels frustrating with this game for you. For me, what I like more about this game is definitely that I'm not dying to a specialist ability over and over again like I would be with Black Ops 4, but at the same time, I'm dying to a lot of times of people just camping and sitting in a window, and that's much more frequent than I would say a specialist ability. Because at least with a specialist ability, they gotta wait like a minute or two before they're using it. With this, they're just camping all the same time, and that's really frustrating to again play with. But anyways, I felt like I said exactly what I wanted to say, but again, let me know how you guys feel about it, or if there was anything I missed out on that is really frustrating for you guys to run into. Let me know what you would actually do to change this. But again, it is the beta. We have a short amount of time before the game actually launches, and I feel like the sprint and out time and certain other things can be adjusted quite quick, because that's just a simple integer change. But other gameplay mechanics like the maps and stuff, I feel like that's something that might not be able to be changed as quick, but who knows, maybe with DLC maps. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, drop a like on it. And if you're new here and want to see more Call of Duty as well as other gaming content, hit the subscribe button, and you'll definitely see more. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and peace.